Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
We are kicking this week off right on a Monday as we welcome you in to Follow the Money. No, your eyes and ears do not deceive you. This is not Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard. Stormy Bonantoni and JVT with you, holding it down for the next week while the guys get some well-deserved summer vacation time in. Then we will be back to our usual Money Move spot from 12 to 2 Eastern beginning next week. How are you, JVT? What's going on?
I'm good. A little confused. First off, happy belated birthday. I know it was a busy weekend for you. Second, I had about a 10-minute conversation with Mitch Moss just outside of the studio before I walked in today. So, odd place to spend your vacation, Mitchell, but very much fired up to be here for the next 5 days.
Getting vacation time, doing circus signups, or what's he here for this morning? Like,
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't really ask.
You talked to him. You didn't ask what he was doing here?
Not really. I saw a wonderful picture of the Moss family, himself, his wife Lorraine, and little Sebastian on Instagram the other day. Everybody's thriving, doing well. So happy to see Mitch. And yeah, I mean, I spent my time on vacation here too. So I was just up at Legacy Club. I did not dare come over here to talk to any of you people.
Yeah, you wanted to avoid me at all costs,
Correct.
Basically, is what you're saying. You also, even though you're back from vacation, we're enjoying some Summer League this weekend. How was all of that?
Yes, the indoctrination's going well. I took my kids to the Thomas and Mack Center. We were there for the Cooper Flag game, the bounce back. That guy's pretty good. I don't know if this has been known by anybody or maybe has been talked about in any way, shape, or form. I know the highlights are great. It doesn't really do it justice when you're watching it the entire time in person, how easy it looks, how smooth he moves, the off-ball stuff where he's not really the focal point, just everything that he does. This dude's a pro. And I keep saying this every time I see him, Stormy, but especially in person now, the physical maturity. You go back to the grainy Zapruder film when he was practicing with Team USA over at the Mendenhall Center for the Olympics as part of the select team or whatever it was, to right now when he's just lining up for a jump ball. Dude, like, this guy looks like he's been playing in the league already for 3 or 4 years. So I'm really excited. Lace him up already. Let's get to October because obviously his time is done, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yes, even though he's done, the Mavs are still in action in Summer League today. So we'll discuss that. One of 7 games that are on deck upcoming. We'll also have Julian Edlow of DraftKings join us in hour 2 of the program today for a half an hour in studio to talk through all of that. It's also NFL training camp week, by the way, here at VSiN. So we're going to dive into some wide receiver markets and get the lowdown on the Bills and AFC East with Bills beat reporter Matt Perino. Plus, later on at the end of the show, it's obviously All-Star Week getting underway from Atlanta. Cody Decker, former Major Leaguer, he's going to give us his thoughts on the Derby at Truist Park. All-Star game tomorrow. Have some fun there, which also, I mean, I guess I'm curious your thoughts as well, if you want to just jump right into the Home Run Derby and tell me your thoughts there. Cal Raleigh is the favorite, of course, leading the league in the first half in home runs. We're not going to see Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani, but still some good names and should be a fun night over there.
Yeah, okay, so a couple of things here. First off, missed mark, and I'm surprised you did not get this. Follow the Money Moves, which is probably the easiest thing.
That would have been smooth.
Shout out to senior editor Zach Cohen, who texted that in. Also said happy belated birthday to you as well.
Thank you.
But the Home Run Derby, first off, I want to direct everybody to VSiN.com. Adam Burke has a great write-up that was just up yesterday about some news and notes and some best bets for the Derby. I will be up front. I don't really like the Home Run Derby a ton, especially from a betting perspective. I don't know. I just feel like it's very repetitive. I get it. Home runs are fun, but I like home runs in the setting of like an actual baseball game. It is fun to watch unathletic people try to field fly balls in the outfield. That's a little bit more fun. But also, I feel like it's been hit or miss every once in a while for me when it comes to this Home Run Derby in handicapping it. Sometimes this is the old cliche, but you'll get somebody that for some reason is just lacing fastballs by their guy, even though they're supposed to be throwing batting practice. The pitchers are always very important, but this should be a fun field. Oddly enough, a very young field and a field of guys who should be in relatively good shape. I go back many years ago now. I think it was Miguel Sano who made a deep run to the Home Run Derby, but the round he got eliminated because he's a little chubby. He gassed out and just couldn't really keep it going. So that's always going to be something important. But look, some of the notes, we're out in Atlanta. It should be a warm day. Wind slightly blowing out. That should really help you. In terms of park factor, numbers like that, a park that's a little bit more beneficial to lefties when you're talking about home runs, 6% more home runs observed there for left-handed hitters as opposed to 1% less for home run hitters over the last 3 years. So that's just something to keep in mind. And we have a lot of strong lefties here. Cal Raleigh's a switch hitter. O'Neal Cruz bats left-handed. James Wood, one of the guys I like, is a lefty. Matt Olson and Jazz Chisholm. So out of all these guys, I think the two dudes that stuck out to me was first and foremost James Wood. Like, I like the kid's swing. He's pretty lean. Again, I don't think he's going to gas out. Obviously, a lefty, which is going to help him here. I like the way that if you look at some of the numbers for him, launch angle, sweet spot rate, things like that, I think he pans out pretty nicely. But for the most part, I'm not going to come out here and say I've got some massive edge. I think I'm just going to play James Wood and maybe Byron Buxton and see what else we can do here in this Derby.
Yeah, per John Ewing, by the way, at BetMGM and the splits at DraftKings, James Wood is taking the most money of the field as your third shot on the board. It's plus 475, that price right now. O'Neal Cruz is the second shot behind Cal Raleigh, plus 320 his number. Raleigh is a favorite, plus 295. Matt Olson, the only repeat home run derby participant, although he was a late ad with Ronald Acuna bowing out, dealing with a little bit of just some tightness there. It's cool looking through the markets on here. I didn't realize how deep into the weeds a DraftKings or a FanDuel will get. You get home run totals for each player, round one total, round one head-to-heads, who will advance to the semis or final, exact result of the final, distance, exit velocity. There's a ton of these different markets if you are somebody who gets into the metrics and wants to dabble in some of these other fun items.
So with those, I thought this was interesting going through all of them because you mentioned the exit velocity. I know that was something that interests you. This is always important, the wording of these. DraftKings, their wording is just highest exit velocity. FanDuel specifies home run with the highest exit velocity. So I do wonder if that is something that we should keep our eye on here when you're talking about what that means when you're betting into this market. Because, again, the DraftKings prop, when I was reading this yesterday, did not mention home run. FanDuel specifically mentioned home run with the highest exit velocity. And then you look at the odds, and there was some difference in those. Like, for example, one of the big ones, DraftKings in that market had Byron Buxton at 6-1. FanDuel had him at 17-1.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big, that's obviously a very big difference there. Cal Raleigh, DraftKings had at 12-1. FanDuel had him at plus 950. How about this? Junior Caminero, DraftKings in the highest exit velocity market had him at plus 1,500, but he's 5-1 over at FanDuel. So it also helps to just shop around, again, if these are the same markets. But, again, the wording is what threw me off here because DraftKings, again, was just highest exit velocity while FanDuel specified home run.
We say that all the time. Yeah. Shop around, and it is important, but especially in stuff like this where opinions are going to be different and you're not taking huge limits on stuff. So you're seeing what book values something more than another.
Yeah, and I would also assume that my assumption here is, like, they're not going to count the exit velocity unless it's an actual, like, home run.
I would anticipate that being
but I just thought that stuck out. But you're right. Like, it's just all about that liability, how you're pricing things. I mean, this is especially something like, I would not say like exit velocity, but like a home run derby. I'm assuming it's not identical to Summer League, right? Where Summer League, you're evaluating these rosters that are just put together and you're kind of putting some odds, you're going to see some variance. Home run derby, I think, is somewhat similar. Like, you have profiles for these guys, how they hit and everything like that. But for the most part, you're going to see some oddities and some differences. For example, to win this thing, Jazz Chisholm just overall 11-1 at DraftKings was 16-1 over at FanDuel. So you can find some big differences.
The rules, by the way, are going to be the same as last year for anybody who remembers. So that first round, 3 minutes or 40 pitches, whichever comes first. Bonus period as well as an option. You get 3 outs, but if you hit one that's over 425 feet, you get an extra out. The top 4 from the first round will then advance to the semis. Then you get 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Those are 2 minutes or 27 pitches for that section of it, and that'll be the same for the finals. So again, we'll talk more home run derby a little bit later on, but just to kind of set the table for that conversation with Cody Decker later. As for the weekend, just to backtrack a little bit, I know you and I are not the biggest tennis people in the world, but if you weren't watching Wimbledon this weekend, I don't know what you were doing, especially when you get Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner going head-to-head and Sinner getting the redemption in 4 sets in Wimbledon, especially after what transpired in the French Open final. So much fun, such good tennis, and to know that we're going to get those two just for years and years to come is pretty special.
Yeah, it was a fun match. I like tennis a lot. I texted Zach, who's our resident tennis guy, and said, you should keep an eye on this Alcaraz guy after the first set because he looked pretty good in the first set, and then Sinner comes back in those last few and looks pretty good against one of the guys that has been dominant in this tournament. just watching guys at their highest level has been absolutely tremendous. But watching that and knowing, like, shout out to Zach one more time. I think he was on center in this thing too. It called this for him. Very good call and analysis by him throughout Wimbledon. But it was shocking to me, given my very rudimentary tennis knowledge and what I know about Alcaraz, to watch him lose that way. I know Sinner's not any bum or anything like that, but the run that Alcaraz had been on was surprising to see him lose.
Well, and you think, too, Alcaraz, two-time defending champ, had won 6 straight in this head-to-head against Sinner, and then he has that type of a start for Sinner then to work his way out of it and then go on to win in 4 sets. It was very, very impressive. And I say this again, these guys are 22 and 23 years old. This is just the start of what's going to be unbelievable careers for the two of them. They have combined to win the last 7 Grand Slams now and 8 of the last 9. And after, Nadal and Federer and obviously Novak Djokovic is still playing, but these guys that were such staples for such a long time, you wondered what that next generation and next transition of tennis players was going to be. And to know we didn't have to wait. Yeah. They're here. They have arrived. And looking ahead to next month with the U.S. Open, Sinner, the defending champ there, he's a plus 125 favorite. Alcaraz plus 175 and Djokovic 7-1. On the women's side Saturday, Iga Swiatek defeated the American we were rooting for. Amanda Anisimova doesn't get there. 6-love.
Oh, your
Complete
girl.
domination from Swiatek there.
Let's see. This was, I wanted to find this. J-Rod tweeted a couple of us earlier. Said for this week's shows is worth mentioning since Gill's off, Iga is a generational player since 1990. First players with multiple WTA level finals by a scoreline of 6-0, 6-0, and the first to achieve the feat in both a Tier 1 WTA 1000 and Grand Slam final. Acknowledge, says Opta Ace. How about that?
Acknowledge. Have to. Yeah, she was red hot, by the way, just from the start. Did not let up. She's 6-0 now in Grand Slam finals. Just an Aussie Open away from the career Grand Slam. Okay, we're just getting started. We still have so much more to get to. We will.
Surprised you were up on Sunday.
Sunday, I actually came here. I did my Circa contest signups on Sunday.
Oh, okay, all right.
Had to do some shoots for the Circa documentary. I had to be like
hardy.
Up and at 'em.
Okay. On the birthday?
Although, you want to know what's funny about this? Is an embarrassing thing, but I'm going to tell it anyways. My dad and I are filling out the sheet to sign up for Circa Survivor. We get to the part where you write the signature and the date, and I was like, what is the date? It's my freaking birthday.
That's right.
Come on.
Good Saturday.
We'll be right back.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
VSiN's football NFL training camp week underway. And if you're serious about winning this football season, your edge starts now with the VSiN NFL betting guide. We are loaded up with in-depth previews of all 32 teams. We've got season win total breakdowns, best bets from all of our VSiN experts, player props, betting projections, everything you need to be a more informed NFL bettor all season long. And right now, you can lock in VSiN's football special for just $175. That gets you full pro access through the Super Bowl, including every betting guide, daily best bets, 24/7 video, exclusive analytics, and all of the tools available each and every day at vsin.com. But don't wait. That early bird pricing ends on July 1st. Sign up now. Get access to our NFL betting guide. VSiN.com/subscribe. Again, that's VSIN.com/subscribe as we welcome you back to Follow the Money. Stormy Buonantony and Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Do want to give you some well-deserved credit where credit is due. People on social media are loving your Pauly impression.
Very good.
Great. Although one person didn't like it so much.
Really?
Yeah, your wife.
Oh, yeah. My wife texted me and said, oh, why the bleep are you talking like that? She didn't understand what was happening there, then understood, and then told me that Phase 10 was not that hard, that I exaggerate. That is not true. Phase 10 is extremely hard. It's infuriating, to be quite honest with you.
Okay, well, we'll see if our guest agrees. Very excited to get into a little AFC East talk and specifically deep dive into the Buffalo Bills with Matt Perino, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Bills beat reporter for Syracuse.com, host of the Shout podcast at Matt Perino with 2 R's on X. You big Phase 10 guy? I have never played that game before. I prefer Uno. That's what started the conversation.
You're talking to a retired Phase 10. I don't want to call myself a legend, but I got
Wow.
after it back in the day. Here's the thing, though. I totally agree with you. It's the most infuriating game of all time, and that's why I don't play it anymore at family get-togethers.
Yep.
But my kids have started to play Uno, so I'd imagine Phase 10 is probably not too far down the line.
Yeah, with the in-laws a couple of weeks ago, Matt, I was playing. I was stuck on Phase 1 while everybody got to about Phase 6 or 7. I quit. I straight up quit. I was like, I'm done with this. I left to go drink somewhere else because I was very angry.
You got to find a game on in the other room
Yep.
and just remove yourself.
See?
Well, let's get into this Buffalo Bills squad who has dominated the AFC East in recent history. It's like since Tom Brady got out of the division, Josh Allen and the Bills have handled business there. Big favorites to do so once again. They make these runs in the playoffs, but that Super Bowl has been so elusive. Josh Allen, I imagine the confidence is sky high coming off an MVP season. Can they finally get there this year, in your opinion?
Yes, and that's not the first time I've said that over the last couple of years. But the big difference to me this year is the approach they've taken on the defensive line to kind of reshape and reimagine how they have to get to the quarterback, not only like in the regular season, but in January, because that's where they've fallen short. They drafted 3 new players. TJ Sanders comes in here on the defensive line, Landon Jackson, young developmental players. And then they go out in free agency and they add Joey Bosa, Michael Hoyt, defensive tackle from Pittsburgh, and Larry Ogunjobi. They have thrown a lot of darts at the board up front to try to affect the opposing team's quarterback more. They also gave extensions to Greg Rousseau, Christian Benford, their borderline all-pro cornerback. This is a defense that could take a step forward this season. And when you have the MVP, the reigning MVP on the other side of the ball, I think they have a lot of good things going. It's just about being able to close the deal against Kansas City, and a lot of teams leave the season frustrated in that endeavor.
Matt, I've been making the case over the last couple of weeks now, and for our NFL guide, I wrote up the AFC East, so I was doing a lot of studying on Buffalo. I feel like in the betting community, a lot of people generally would go, minus 275 to do something like that seems too much. I can't play that. I think the price should be higher for Buffalo to win this division. Like, what has to happen for them to lose the AFC East? I feel like there's not that many universes in which that happens. That seems like a cheap price looking at the way the AFC East looks like.
I think if Miami can stay healthy at quarterback, I think that they're going to be somebody that competes with the Bills for sure. I think the Jets, if they find any kind of answer with Justin Fields, that defense with Aaron Glenn there is going to take a step forward. And the Patriots are this plucky young team that they played them really tough last season. And I wonder if, adding Mike Vrabel, if Drake May doesn't take any step back and maybe even takes a small step forward in year 2, they have some interesting pieces on both sides of the ball that I think can make things interesting. I think the universe you're talking about, though, is probably a Josh Allen injury. If he doesn't get injured, he dominates this division against Miami. Against the Jets, he struggled a little bit at times, but in recent years, it's been a little bit more, turnover free, which has always been the name of the game with him. And then the Patriots are a team that since Brady left, he's had his way with them as well. So I think the Bills have gotten better. And I wonder if the two teams that have been the main predictive teams to compete in this division, the Dolphins and the Jets, I just haven't seen them get better enough to compete in the division.
Well, and with that in mind, then, do you think either one of those teams, specifically the Patriots and Dolphins, who you were more glowing to, do you think they could put themselves in the position to be a playoff team? Even you look at their win totals, it makes you feel like, no, the Patriots being the higher of those two at 8.5. But do you think either one of them could exceed expectations enough at least to be a playoff team in the AFC?
Yes, only because I think that if you look at some of the big-time contenders like the Ravens and the Bengals and the Chiefs, I expect their divisions to be tougher this year. And listen, the Ravens division is always tough, right? That is kind of like getting through that gauntlet during the regular season. I think it's why they do so well in the postseason a lot of years. The Bengals have made a run to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. The Ravens, obviously last year, lost to the Bills, but I thought played the Bills in the playoffs just about as well as anybody not named the Chiefs. So I think if these teams are beating up on each other in the other divisions, the Chargers, in year 2 of Jim Harbaugh, maybe they take a big jump forward. Now if you're the Miami Dolphins or New York Jets or Patriots and you can win 10, 11 games, I think you get yourself into the conversation, and you only have to play the Bills twice. So if you dominate the rest of the division, one of these teams kind of elevates to that place. For sure, I think they could be a playoff team. I think a couple years ago, the Dolphins were a playoff team when the Bills won the division.
So the Wide receiver room was a big topic of conversation last year for Buffalo, and you have a bunch of guys coming back. Obviously, Khalil Shakir, leading receiver from last year, Keon Coleman. What does this receiver room look like now going into this season? And could there be a actual reality where some of these guys take a step back? Because on paper still, man, it looks like a group that's a bunch of B-level receivers. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't seem like there's a dominant force there. But maybe there's somebody that could emerge in your opinion.
So I think what they're betting on is if you go back and watch last season, the best pocket of games for Keon Coleman was midway through the season, right before he got injured. The Seattle Seahawks game was the one where he really elevated his level. One-on-one against Reek Woolen, one of the top young corners in the league. And I thought Keon Coleman had his way with him. He out-physicaled him. He had made a big play in the end zone for a touchdown. And it looked like the mid-season trade for Amari Cooper was exactly the type of move that was going to unlock this player that they invested the number 33 pick in the draft last season. Problem is, Cooper got banged up. He also, after getting injured, wasn't able to kind of be the level of player that he's been the last couple of years in Cleveland and before that in Dallas and in Oakland. And I think that they needed to replicate that skill set, find it in somebody else, and that's what they feel like they've done in Josh Palmer. When you hand out a deal for 3 years averaging $12 million to a wide receiver, it's not big, eye-popping numbers, but it's a significant investment. And the reason they made that investment is not only for what they think Palmer can do in this offense. He's a great route runner. He gets separation. Some of that data is at the top of a lot of the charts that you look at that kind of get splattered across social media. His effect on Keon Coleman is what I think they're truly paying for in year 2 of that kid's rookie contract. They think Coleman could be really good, but he doesn't get a lot of separation. So he needs somebody on the opposite side to do that dirty work. Khalil Shakir, one of the most underappreciated wide receivers in the NFL. He was second in the league last year in run after the catch behind only Jamar Chase. He is a safety blanket for Josh Allen. It's so important to what they do on offense.
You and your colleague at Syracuse.com, Ryan Talbot, did a bold training camp predictions article that's up on the website right now. And one of those was also about Dalton Kincaid being a potential breakout candidate. So not a wide receiver, but a pass catcher nonetheless. What do you think he could do here this season for Josh Allen?
When Joe Brady took over for Ken Dorsey when he was fired midway through the season 2 years ago, he had to kind of like figure things out on the fly. And then when the offseason came and he kind of shaped the offense in his image, he was doing it during a complete identity shift away from Stephon Diggs and into this everybody eats collection of B-level receivers that they've come to be. And in that process, I think Dalton Kincaid just kind of gotten added into that room in a way where I think that they have to elevate him. And he's got to be a guy, if maybe a B+ in this offense that does become a center of attention in a lot of games. There's only 2 games last year where he had 10 or more targets. I think this season you're going to see that number at least triple. And I think that when Josh Allen came out after the season, he had that big moment in the Kansas City Chiefs game where he, heaved that ball up and Dalton Kincaid couldn't come down with the catch. He stuck up for him and said, I have to be better for Kincaid in year 3. And I think he's going to make it a point to do that. And so I'm telling anybody that listens, buy all the Dalton Kincaid stock that you can, because when you have the MVP saying that he's going to go out of his way to make somebody better and a more prominent person in this offense, that's what I'm listening to.
Matt, you're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it. Enjoy training camp.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Matt Parrino, everybody. Check out Shout Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, at Matt Parrino on X, and of course, Syracuse.com. Dalton Kincaid last year, 448 yards. His season-long prop for this season, 550.5. So if you are believing the hype, maybe take a gander.
NFL Phase 10er.
Phase 10. I need to learn more about this. Although maybe based on your guys' reviews, I shouldn't. We're going to take a break. Coming up on Follow the Money. It's talking season in college football, the latest from day 1 of SEC Media Days, and our preseason Top 25 begins.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Hawks up 46-42 on the Rockets in the early game of Summer League as we welcome you back.
Score next.
Oh, no, you can't be doing this to me as we welcome you back to Follow the Money, Monday edition of the program on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. That voice you heard, Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Bonantoni, and we're going to get more into the Summer League action as Julian Edlow joins us live in studio, DraftKings Network betting analyst. How long have you been in town? When did you get in?
I got in yesterday morning.
Beautiful.
And back home Thursday morning, so a few days out here.
Yesterday morning. Okay, so you didn't get in for the Cooper Flag experience then?
No, Cooper Flag heard I was coming here and immediately retired
Shut
from
it
Summer
down.
League. Yep, shut it down right away.
See, Edlow's like me. Edlow appreciates a very good Summer League performance. We have sat in the stands together and watched Summer League games before. So, like, Stormy, I'm trying to convert her a little bit. I don't know. How much have you watched so far this year?
Not a lot of enchilada.
I mean, you got to watch. Nothing like a summer where you're sitting at the Thomas and Mack and watching multiple Summer League games of bad basketball.
There's just not much else going on, right? We're going to watch some home runs tonight. We're talking. I saw you guys going over college football before I got in here. We're just still hammering the win totals, the conferences. This breaks it up a little bit. Some basketball.
Plus, it's different when you're at the games, too. Like, I can enjoy anything when I'm in the venue and I can have a beer in my little, what are those, like, specialty cups, you know? Just get your NBA Summer League specialty cup to take home. Sure. Like, who's not going to enjoy a hot dog and throw one back and have a good time watching basketball, even if it's terrible? But my thought was that it's just unfortunate now we're at the point in Summer League where a lot of those good marquee names that you are wanting to see, like Cooper Flag, are shutting it down, or some of these other players, Ace Bailey, Walter Clayton Jr., who are dealing with injuries and they're not out there on the court.
Yeah, it's, watching and betting Summer League is a different wave of games almost. Like the handicap changes every 3-4 days. It starts off with, all right, you got your Cooper Flags, your other lottery picks, some guys that have been in the NBA for a couple years that are playing 1, 2, 3 games, and then slowly these guys get shut down and we go much deeper into these rosters, and you can maybe try and find an edge on some teams that are mispriced based on the talent that you're going to see out there on the floor that day. So everything kind of changes, and then with the player props as well, like once those Cooper Flags of the world and so on are off the board, if anybody else is left that's available that's on the board for player props, there are some guys that are going to jump into bigger roles just like we do in the regular season with NBA when so-and-so load management and you go and bet another player.
Did you bet anything today?
A couple of things today. I do need, what's this Hawks score? I do need the Hawks to win this game. They are now trailing.
Right on, brother.
Like a money
by
line
1.
parlay situation or something? Or you just got a short number?
Yeah, money line parlays in Summer League. Really safe business
Hey,
by
now.
me. But yeah, Hornets, big favorite today. The thought process there. Dallas, that roster is not very good or very experienced. I like betting on experience in Summer League. And with Cooper Flag out of the mix, obviously he was all the volume last game, 31 points, right? With him out of the mix, that roster is thin. So Charlotte's a pretty big favorite. I got them tied to the Hawks. And then I had to take the Clippers. I was coming in here to see you today, JVT. So I felt like I had to bet the Clippers tonight, +2 against the Lakers. Not a big fan of that Lakers roster. And we'll see. Is Dalton Connect even? I don't know if Dalton Connect's going to.
I would assume he is because they flipped from a 1-point dog to a 2-point favorite. So I would assume he's going to be out there.
That's
but
what the flip was there. But we'll see. I haven't been impressed with the Lakers.
The crazier things have happened than assuming somebody's going to play in a Summer League game and then ultimately they're in street clothes later. So I would think that is the case. Do you have any futures alive for Summer League at all?
No, I can't. I have a tough time. And I was on with Mitch and Paul last week, and we were talking some Summer League. And, Mitch was bringing up some plays to win it all or MVP.
I think he's got Charlotte as one of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so, I mean, you tell me your thoughts on this too, but it's like you're almost betting on a team like it's not that opening roster that you're betting on. So you're trying to find a team that's maybe in the middle of the pack that isn't good enough to have many stars that you shut down, but also isn't one of the worst rosters. So it's almost like you're looking for that middle roster that, all right, we're going to play our guys, and by the end, we'll be one of the better teams with these guys. I find that tough to do, but if you got an opinion on that, then fire away.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. So I've got 3. One of them's, I think, done, the Grizzlies. But I got the Hawks at 80-1, and I've got the Thunder. I kind of have like the 3 principles, if you will, when evaluating them. Like you're talking about, like the high-end talent. Cooper Flag is not going to play 4 games, 6 games in a Summer League setting. But who might is like Nikola Topic, who was a lottery pick last year, but needs to play because he hasn't played for a really long time. Kobe Buffkin.
Hawks 80-1, I like that. I was just going to say Kobe Buffkin's a guy that not a lottery pick. I think he was 15th, but he's played in the NBA a couple years. He should continue to play. I bet on his player prop yesterday. I did my part. He took 17 shots. He made 3 of them.
It was not great.
So that was not very exciting. But, yeah, that's the type of guy where, all right, you got a couple of years in the NBA under your belt, but you're not too good where you're going to be shut down. You're going to continue to be there for your team.
Yes. The fun thing, though, Stormy, is with the format, as Will Hill was texting with me, and I think he's hate watching the game right now, as he has the Hawks as well. There is a universe in which the Hawks could go 4-0 and not make the playoffs. So that's going to be a lot of fun if that actually ends up happening.
Does not make much sense. Undefeated teams out of the playoffs.
Yep.
What about just NBA big picture? We saw OKC lock up a bunch of their guys with extensions. Meanwhile, a lot of players dealing with injuries. We saw Kevin Durant, though. He was the big mover going to Houston. Any significant move or anything that caught your eye when you were just looking at early futures, looking ahead to next year?
Yeah, we haven't had a repeat champion in, since the Durant Warriors. And I just think the turnover right now, obviously the Celtics with the second apron, they have to shed a lot of salary. I think the East is really interesting in just how open it is. All the injuries, all the turnover on teams. Nothing has necessarily caught my eye for a bet. I haven't bet any teams to win it all or win their conference. But the West is pretty loaded up, and the East is kind of missing a lot of its stars next season. The Cavs are the favorites there, and I think they should be. I think the Knicks might be getting a little bit too much love. I am high on Orlando. I like what they did with Bane. I was high on them last year. Banchero missed some time. I think the Magic should be one of those very good regular season teams next year that are young. They're going to keep their foot on the gas in the regular season and try and win as many games as possible. I know their win total reflects the moves that they've made. But Orlando is a team, I guess, that jumps out to me that I think should be very strong consistently throughout the regular season if they stay healthy.
Was there anything notable at DraftKings, like bet-wise, that had come in with these futures? And if not, what do you think Western Conference-wise, that dynamic of the trio at top, OKC, Denver, and Houston?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything too notable bet-wise at DraftKings. I've been mostly on Summer League right now, so I haven't dug over the last week or so. Out West... So OKC locks up all their stars now. They were clearing away the best team. I just keep going back to, something's going to change, I feel like. Because if we're sitting here last year, you're talking about the Celtics, the same way in the East, right? Look at the stranglehold that the Celtics have on the Eastern Conference. And now here we are with multiple starters gone, Horford likely to be gone, and Tatum sitting out presumably the season. And their win total closed 59.5 last year. We opened it on DraftKings 43.5 this year. That's one of the biggest drops I can recall. I also thought it was funny. Obviously, it has to do with Halliburton. But when's the last time a team went to the NBA Finals and then opened under 500 on their win total? The Pacers are 39.5. They just took the best team in the NBA to Game 7 of the NBA Finals. So that just kind of, those two teams in the East kind of show you the type of immediate change that we're having from teams that go to the NBA Finals, teams that are favored to go to the NBA Finals in the Celtics, and now they're floating around 500 on their win totals a couple weeks later.
We're sleeping on the obvious answer, by the way, for all of this.
Yes?
The 76ers are going to be the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference next year.
Gross.
I knew you'd feel like that. Lombardi has indoctrinated his hate for them in you.
I spent too much time working Lombardi line with Michael Lombardi to like anything about the Philadelphia 76ers.
I'm from Boston. I don't like the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see how much Embiid plays. He played, 19 games, a career low for Embiid. You would think that this is his year. He tends to do well in these, usually in these prove-it years. He proves that he can stay on the floor.
If I told you he played 55 games next year, where do they finish in the East, seeding-wise?
55 and everybody else stays relatively healthy? Yeah, they're going to be up there 2-3. You're right.
They're 30-1 to win the championship.
What are their Eastern Conference numbers?
I think they're
Would you be more interested in the
9-1?
Eastern Conference?
Yeah, generally you can speak to this too. I think you're probably doing conference as opposed to finals because obviously a little bit of a shorter path. But yes, I think they're the range 9-1 there. Yeah, 10-1 if we're looking at the screen.
So and those prices show what the market thinks of the East, right? Because they're normally you cut the number in half, you're 15-1 there. It shows how much stronger we feel the Western Conference is when you just look at the board for the East there.
This is something I think we should maybe pick back up on the next segment because I know we're going to talk a lot of NFL, but I am curious. One of I would say the biggest news items that's been coming out of Summer League is LeBron and the conversation and where is this going to go with the Los Angeles Lakers. For anybody who missed the report from Dave McMenamin, I guess he asked LeBron courtside, hey, you want to come on the broadcast and talk about things? And he said, I ain't got nothing to talk about, which is that an answer in a lack of an answer? So save your thoughts. I don't want to shortchange you with 20 seconds to go. So when we come back, we will dive into the LeBron and the Lakers of it all and some NFL season-long futures that could be worth a look with Julian Edlow. Don't go anywhere. More Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, coming up next.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
If you want to know where the money is going, come join us at vsin.com. Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from the source at Circa and DraftKings Sportsbook, giving you insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa, known for taking big bets from professional bettors. DraftKings is going to give you that more broad market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kinds of wagers that are moving the line. See the percentage of bets versus the percentage of handle on every game across every major sport every day at vsin.com. vsin.com/subscribe to get access today to the exclusive betting splits and more. As we welcome you back to Follow the Money. Speaking of DraftKings Network betting analyst Julian Edlow with us in studio today. Stormy Buonantony, JVT in for the guys today. And we were talking a lot last segment about the NBA Summer League. And I feel like one of the biggest talking points has actually been about a guy who's not on the court playing, LeBron James, who's just been around to support Bronny. But the news about his contract and him opting into his contract, and is he unhappy? It seems like it. What have you taken from all of this?
Yeah, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? They've admitted that they want to. LeBron's camp wants to look at what's best for him at this stage of his career and life, is what they said. I don't know where that would be. He certainly seems to be flirting with the idea of stint number 3 in Cleveland. I don't know how we can talk about how you make that money work, but like, that's interesting with how open the East is. And, you know, LeBron's the ultimate, like, add him to any type of winning situation. And I feel like he's only going to enhance that to a degree. Cleveland would be pretty interesting. I don't know where else, like, what other teams would he go to or want to go to at this stage?
In theory, teams like the Clippers can make a package that would financially match. They could go and get him. Warriors, did we mention them?
Warriors they're always a name.
People have been trying to connect the dots with Mike Brown and the Knicks, but I don't know.
Well, outside of some, chesty New Yorkers, you come and you play for us. I don't think there's really that much that would make some sense. There's like a Karl Anthony Towns, LeBron James swap that would financially make some sense as well. That you just straight up trade them for one another, and then you see how that works. So
I mean, kind of like that if I'm the Knicks, but.
Right, you get out from the contract for Karl Anthony Towns, you get LeBron in, and then you see if you can make a run in the Big Apple, as they call it.
Part of this report from ESPN's Dave McMenamin over the weekend at Summer League, he said they, like Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, never asked for a trade, and there was, quote, no discussion of the possibility of wanting a trade in the future, but also added that Rich Paul told him 4 teams have contacted him with interest for LeBron. So I
mean, everybody's interested in LeBron, right?
Right.
Not everybody, most places.
Maybe the contract's not as interested in, but LeBron, the athlete in person, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at the Lakers, though, in general, you also can't fault them for the opportunity to get Luka Doncic and firing on it. So now it's just a matter of what does this team look like in the future?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of showed with that Luka move that they'll do what they think is best for the franchise, right? And if LeBron has any inkling that he would like to be elsewhere, then, that sounds somewhat of a mutual agreement to move on, right?
It's just probably weird for him the first time in his career that he hasn't been in full control and held all the cards. He's been like LeBron the player and LeBron the GM for so long, and then this move happens and it's not up to him.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of out of control since the Doncic trade. Not that he maybe hasn't come around on the Luka trade, but that was the first showing of like, okay, the Lakers are going to do what is best for the Lakers from here on out.
9-1 for them in the Western Conference. I think it's not 14-1 for the title, which is interesting how close those numbers are. But
I just wanted to point out, so Jacob Toppin went out for the Atlanta Hawks here in the Summer League game.
How you feeling?
Well, no, you laugh, but I actually just wanted to look at this. There's a couple of shops that just hung up a 5.5 for the second half line for the Atlanta Hawks, but that's without Toppin. He's a 17-point per game scorer. I would assume you're not going to push it and put him back out there. There's some other spots that actually have a 2.5 for the second half in favor of the Hawks. So shop around for that. But if you get 5.5 with the Rockets second half, wouldn't say no, just considering the fact that Toppin is injured and probably not going to play the rest of this game.
Rockets up 4 at the half, 59-55. Atlanta did close a 6-point favorite in this one. Live in downtown Las Vegas Circa Resort and Casino, Julian Edlow, DraftKings Network betting analyst, joining us here. Let's shift gears and talk a little NFL because we are already at that point where training camps are about to get underway and we're shifting gears, looking at a lot of those season-long futures. Any bets that you have made so far?
Yeah, so I think we're doing some season-long player props here, which I am always a fan of. Obviously, extensive menu over at DraftKings Sportsbook. We can start with Dak Prescott. I did play him over his passing total. I think he's 3,850 on the passing yards. It's going to come down to health, and last year he wasn't healthy. He had the hamstring. He's back. He's a full go. Basically, when he plays 12 games or less, stays under his passing prop, as you would think. Last 3 healthy seasons, 2019, he had over 4,900 career high. He was second in the NFL. 2021, almost 4,500. He was 7th in the NFL. 2023, over 4,500. He finished 3rd in the NFL. So the last 2 seasons, he's averaging about 260 passing yards a game, over 25 games played. That, extrapolates out to over 4,400 passing yards in 17 games. So you got this Cowboys team, win total 7.5, lowest it's been in like decades. Bad defense, no real backfield. Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator that's been with Dak, is now the head coach. This should set up pretty well for a lot of passing yards. Be playing from behind. I think that Dak Prescott, as long as he, stays healthy, plays at least 14, 15 games, I think that passing prop is a pretty good number. You can look at him, 8, 9, 10 to 1 to lead the NFL in passing yards as well.
This is a very pro-Cowboys show. For a team that has a win total floating around 7.5 or 8.5, it is a pretty talented roster offensively outside of the running back position, and I think it would be surprising. I liken it to, I keep forgetting, who's the UCLA head football coach that we were laughing at in the...
I always blank on his name for whatever reason. Yes.
But so last year, if you remember at the Big Ten Media Days, everybody's laughing at him. He's like,
we are from Los Angeles.
Right. But it's kind of like the same thing here. It's
like, Deshaun Foster, just like we are.
Gannon out there in Arizona, right? Everybody mocked the first time we got to see Gannon. And yet he ended up being a pretty good coach. I think it's kind of the same thing here. I get Schottenheimer's not the sexiest thing. This is a pretty talented roster. To say that they only need to go 8-9 or 9-8 to surpass this win total, I would be pretty stunned if they were like a 6-7 win team.
I'm with you. I do lean over there. They can't be. There's a lot of holes on that team. They're going to give up some points as they did last season. I don't think they're going to be that bad as long as they have some health.
Mm-hmm.
What's another season-long prop that you had your eye on?
We'll do one other over first. Drake London broke out last year. 2024, he had 100 grabs, 1,271 yards, 9 touchdowns. I played him over 1,050 receiving yards. Now, I gave you his numbers for the year. A lot of that was with Kirk Cousins. When Michael Penix Jr. came in the last 3 games, Drake London was getting 13 targets per game and averaged 117 receiving yards. Small sample size, but I'm a Penix Jr. fan. I was out here for that that last Pac-12 title game when they upset Oregon. They're going to sling it, and Drake London fits perfectly with that. Atlanta also plays 12 games indoors. That should help him out. He's only missed 1 game in his 3-year NFL career. Obviously, injuries are the biggest worry when you're playing an over on a season long. He's we can't control that, but he's been relatively healthy to date. I think that's a pretty good situation that Drake London's in next year.
What do you think is your most outlier NFL take or opinion heading into next year?
Outlier.
One where you don't really find that many people thinking the same thing that you do. Or maybe you just think you're unique. We all think we're unique, and we're really not.
What do people think of the Lions? What do you think the perception is of the Lions?
I think it's still generally pretty positive. I think they did
right?
pretty well in our NFL guide.
It's mixed, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen, it feels pretty mixed. That yes, everybody thinks the Lions are still going to be very good, but will they take a step back with new coordinators on both sides of the ball? Starting center retires. There's some different wrinkles to it.
So I'll go. I think people that have been paying attention, I agree with you, Stormy. It's been mixed. I think the general public still has all this Lions love, I would say. And I think it's going to be tough on them next year. Like, Dan Campbell has been put in the best scenario possible, I feel like, in the past by having arguably one of the best offensive coordinators, arguably one of the best defensive coordinators, and then he can just kind of be that rah-rah guy that he is. losing those coordinators, losing Frank Ragnow to retirement, the starting center, a key piece of the offensive line. I just see a lot of things that set up, as well as a kind of difficult schedule, that set up a step back for the Lions. So the first win total that I played was the Lions under 10.5, which, the juice is going that way. But I feel like the public perception is just a lot of Lions love these last couple years.
11 folks in our guide picked them to win the division. 4 picked them to win the NFC, for what it's
wow.
worth.
Okay, so that's hype. I'll quote unquote, go against the grain there, I guess.
Hell yeah.
What do you got going on the rest of the day when you headed back over to Thomas and Mack?
Today is going to be my day off from Thomas and Mack. I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch.
You go to the Cox Pavilion. That's what
that's what it is.
I'm going to watch some home run derby behind us, probably.
Nice.
I'll be back in the building the next couple days. See what happens over there.
Did you place a derby bet, or just going to watch and enjoy?
I did play some O'Neal Cruz at a good number. I don't know about him as like the co-favorite. And I like Jazz Chisholm unders. I know we got to go, but these little quick guys don't do as well, I think, in the home run derby.
Beautiful. Thank you for hanging out with us. We
appreciate
appreciate
thanks
it,
for having me,
Julian.
guys. This was great.
Check out all things DraftKings Network. Appreciate Julian for the time. We're going to step aside. More Follow the Money coming up after this.